があるとマイクみたいになりたい。でも電話してくれない。オークランドとブックレンドから世界チャンピオンバーチャルプローズ始まるよ。バーチャルプローズ。
To my motherfucking man, 50 grand, the alcoholic man, and jack a tall can in his bloodstream if he can. Biggie Smalls, the 50 stroker, MC provoker, chocolate tie smoker. Huh? I like to max and Maximas and Acuras. Your girl butt cheeks, I'm smacking. Huh? The raw rapper, spine snapper with the little, cause on my lap. A shot, the ball, I ain't your fucking comforter. And if I ever fall in love, I bet I'm fucking her. Ask the if I didn't choke her. If she try to front, then I drop the Chucky.
Episode 96 of that World Champion Sound Virtual Pros podcast. My name is Al, aka Henny Omega, aka Hen Narita, aka the Bandman, aka Buja Nagata, aka Dr. Keith Drapinski, aka Two Phone Scorpio, aka Super Brazy, aka Pete Gas Break Dip Dip, aka No Speak Broke Boy, Kami Shinsuke Stack a Mill Up. And with me, one half of the Holy Scheming Army, one half of Lemolition, one half of the Heavenly Thotties, one half of the Bread Hunters, my main oos, Mike.
Hey, what's up, motherfuckers? It's Mike, a.k.a. Sticky Fuji, a.k.a. Butterita Asari, a.k.a. Takoyaki Hanma, a.k.a. Sticky Creamboat.
Today's topic, the 2019 Fan Etiquette Guide. The most charming of fans, Alan Mike, laid down some commandments when it comes to rooting for one of America's greatest art forms. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at VRTLPros. Hit us on SoundCloud. Hit that heart. You know I like it. Hit us on iTunes. Leave a 5-star review and subscribe if you haven't already. We're on Spotify as well. Mike is gaming on Twitch. And if you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. We also have a Discord. I haven't really worked that into my intro yet, but we do. If you want to join us, hit us on Twitter or Instagram. We'll invite you. We got some emails on Mike. You mind starting off with that first one?
On top of emails, I've noticed there's been quite a dip in email participation since the Discord, since you can just talk to me 24/7 and talk to Al when he jumps in. So I started another channel in the Discord for people to just drop questions in case they don't want to go through the stress of writing an email and having to be clever and stuff. You can just drop a question in there. So after we get done with these emails, I'll read off, there's 4 questions. I'll read them off. 2 of them are coincidentally were going to be my 2-man scramble topics anyway. So we'll work those in for that. It'll just be a shorter 2-man scramble, I guess. But, so yeah, the first email is from Old Seagulls. It's, titled Dragging a Friend to a Wrestling Show. Hey, Vert Boys. There's a very specific anxiety that comes with taking a friend to a wrestling show and then hoping it's not trash and they're forever turned off. At this point, I've stopped trying to bring anyone. Have you guys ever talked a friend into going to a show and felt the same anxiety? Love, Seagulls, aka them D-Los came. We gave them Monty Brown jaw. I don't have this problem. I think the biggest hurdle I had to get over was bringing my girlfriend to a wrestling show, but what I did was, it was NXT TakeOver in Philadelphia, so I was like, we'll spend the weekend in Philadelphia, but you have to do this one thing for 2 hours where you go to a wrestling show. And that kind of tricked her enough where she was fine with it. And she doesn't come to me to every wrestling show, but she does ask every once a month, like, is there a wrestling show coming up? Because wrestling's a good thing for old people to go out and drink because there's no pressure and it's kind of cheap to drink, so it's pretty fine. But yeah, I've never really had any other kind of experience outside of that, really.
Was that her first time at a wrestling show, and how did she take Gargano versus Almas? Was she excited by it or what?
Yeah, she liked the whole thing. I talked about it, years ago, but the only thing that she didn't like was the people behind us because they were fucking nerds. But yeah, she definitely liked it.
Yeah, for me, I have a pretty solid bullpen when it comes to bringing friends to wrestling shows because they all like wrestling. But there was this one time my friends and I went to LA for my birthday. And we watched SummerSlam, and we were all wrestling fans except for one person. They never went before, and this was the one where Del Rio cashed in. And it was a really boring show, and I'm pretty sure that friend will never watch wrestling again because of that show, because it was kind of shitty. But yeah, I can't really relate. Sorry, Seagulls. Next email is from Pro Wrestling Required Viewing, titled Deathmatch Ghoul Advice. Hey again, pros, I need your advice. Over the last few months, I've slowly but surely been getting into more ghoulish wrestling. Thanks in part to you all, I've been spending more of my time watching and learning about Onita, Kawasaki Dream, Kodaka, Takeda, etc. A few weeks ago, I got to go to that GCW Black Label Pro show outside of Chicago, and I thought it was fucking great. The ladder match and the main event with Effie and Nick Gage were both insane, and I could feel myself becoming a deathmatch ghoul in real time as light tube dust started to get into my eyes. My problem, though, is that no one else I know likes deathmatch wrestling. I think that GCW tournament is happening in a few days, but my wife and friends, who I usually go to wrestling with, have no interest in deathmatch shit and refuse to go, and I can't talk to any of my other friends about wrestling in general, let alone matches where they use light tubes like Lincoln Logs to build little boxes of glass to fall through. So here's where I need your advice. Should I be the weirdo who goes to deathmatch wrestling by himself, just standing alone, hoping to make a friend, or should I keep this shit to myself and watch the stream at home? Thanks in advance, Vic, aka Diamond Dallas Page 99, aka Trent 7 Seconds, aka The Perfect 10-Yard Fight. I mean, for me, I don't think I could ever watch wrestling alone. I think I need a lot of things that require another person, whether that be like watching a movie or eating. I feel like those things are like social, so wrestling for sure to me is like a social event, so I don't really have the best advice for you when it comes to watching deathmatch wrestling of all things. So maybe Mike can give you a hand with this one.
Yeah, it sounds like Vic should hook up with Seagulls, because then Seagulls would have a friend they wouldn't need anxiety for. But no, I would otherwise say probably just watch it alone. I mean, I've only been to wrestling alone once here. I mean, it does have its I guess advantages where I went to like freelance alone, and after like a few matches, I was like, I want to go home. I want to go eat Taco Bell. And I just left, and I didn't have to like worry about anybody else, and that was cool. But you're also alone, which is kind of weird. But if you do want to go to that tournament, like there's a bunch of people coming out. I'll be there. DJ will be there. And not that Vic knows these people, but there's a whole crew of people coming from, in the area and, from around the country that are, pretty much all in the Discord too. So if you're out, Vic, I'm not going to pretend I remember what you look like. I know we met before, but like I'm really bad at facial recognition. So, I mean, if you see me there, I'll probably be with a bunch of people because I'm technically going alone. Like somebody's giving me a ride, but it's Ricky Fuji Jr. from the internet. And, Eric is his real name. He does that time bomb stuff. But so, I'm going with basically a stranger, with somebody I only know from the internet. So if you come out, Vic, I'll be there. You can just hover around me and we could pretend to be great friends and you won't feel so alone. But, yeah, otherwise I would say stay at home. I also wanted, before I go on to the next email, I want to give out a shout out to, Gerard, who was nice enough to upload the Hellboy in All Japan video for me. And, I think I said I promised that I would put this on the mixtape, and I completely forgot to do it this week. Cause for whatever reason, it wasn't in my watch later, cause I usually put this shit in my watch later, but I did watch this match. And, to be honest, it's fine that it's not on the mixtape. I mean, I might still add it eventually for posterity. It was, kind of what I expected. It was a man in a rubber suit and, rubber Hellboy suit doing the most minimal moves he can do, cause he didn't have much room to move around in. And then there was a bunch of other guys that I have no idea who they are because they wrestle for All Japan, but it was, it was fine.
Was Jake Lee in it, dude, or what?
I don't think it wasn't Jake Lee. It was some other guys, yeah. So the next actual email is from Casey. It says, Dream guest hosts. Hey guys, I really enjoyed the last episode with that uncle dude. I was a little worried when he started with that Dr. Evil bullshit, but it was a real solid show. My question is, do either of you have any dream guest hosts you'd like to have join you for an episode? Also, I'm 100% on Mike's side when it comes to promotions venues not allowing re-entry. That shit is unacceptable and a guaranteed way to ensure I won't be back. Thanks, Casey, aka Gothic King Booker, aka Get In Where You Fit Finley, aka PayPal me $5 for a picture of my dump Matsumoto.
Oh, come on, Casey, it's gross.
I think I stated even on the last episode, not a big fan of guests in general. guest hosts, it's tough because my core group of friends that I'm not one of those people that want to bring like strangers on just because I think they're cool people and stuff like that. I think like you have to have like some kind of chemistry, or it's kind of gonna be shitty. Like I'm not like fucking tight with Franklin, but you know, behind the scenes, I've kind of like at least internet known that dude for at least 10 years. So it's kind of just like, it's fine. And I've listened to his podcast and I understand like we could have a rapport. I think the only person that I kind of dropped the ball on is right before I moved, Joey Janela asked to guest host. And it was like right before I was moving. And if you guys remember, after I moved, we went on like a few month hiatus. And then after that, I kind of forgot about it. And, now, you know, he's going to be a famous person on television. So I kind of blew that one. But, you know, outside of that, I don't think I would be strangers. And then like my core group of friends don't really want to talk this hard about wrestling. So it would be pretty tough.
I got two. I wish Dolan would come back to the show. I think me and him and Mike would fucking tear it up. By the way, did you see him on fucking Monday Night Football?
Yep, yeah, he was there.
Oh my fucking God. Anytime that man's on national TV, dude, he just fucking burns it up. Dolan would be a fucking a gem, I think. And Wei Ting, come through, man. Come through. So this is new to me. Well, anyway, that was the last of the emails, by the way, if you want to participate.
There's one more.
Are you sure?
Yeah, from Astral.
My bad. Astral, my fault. Titled Replica Ribera Jackets. How fucking topical, Astral. Hey, Al and Mike, there's an eBay seller that has listed a pre-order sale for replica Ribera jackets. See below link. Is this a step too far, or will this be worth it to see the eventual videos condemning their owners for disrespecting the boys in the back? Thanks, and keep up the great work. John, aka Party Lund. Alright, so you linked us to, this site. I'm assuming this person is also bootlegging the Virtual Pros, Bull Nakano t-shirt, or sorry, Saint Bull t-shirt. Let me edit that out. Anyway, I think someone else is running this racket on eBay where they're selling fraudulent Ribera jackets.
Rob Feinstein was for a minute. This is a different person, though. I checked.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think the boys will care about this. This is so topical, though, because I had bid on a black-red Ribera jacket, and I got beat out, which I'm pretty sad about. It was brand new, but way to open up that wound is Astral. Not cool.
Yeah, I checked that link, and it's kind of crazy how thorough it is, where it has all different colors and sizes. I don't think Ribera is really checking eBay to get caught, but I assume anytime I do see a Ribera jacket in the wild, it's probably fake anyway. So
yeah,
I mean, it's fine. It's just when more people have them, it's just gonna be more corny. So I mean, if you got a real one, deep down and it'll mean something to you. But if you have a fake one, you're just gonna look like a dork.
I agree. I have a real one. Hey, if you don't have the shark tag as the sizing, it's bogus. Maybe I'll do like a legit check, because I know those videos are very popular amongst the sneaker community. Maybe I'll do a legit check Ribera video soon.
So there's 4 Discord questions. The first 2, I have I wasn't going to talk about them 2-man scramble. So I'm just going to read those first 2, and then I'm going to hold the next 2 for my 2-man scramble. Although one of them is about the NXT shirts, and I don't know, was that a part of your 2-man scramble anyways, Al?
It wasn't. I was just going to rely on either this question or you bringing it up, because like 9,000 people asked us to talk about the NXT t-shirts.
Yeah, so I'll just save that one too. So the first 2 questions in the Discord, and we can move on to 2-man scrambles. Harpo asked, Pat Buck is a friend of the show and could kick my ass, so I'm not being snarky when I ask this. Is Big Cass getting his ass kicked by a dude over a foot shorter than himself a top 5 embarrassing moment, off-screen moment for a wrestler? If you guys didn't hear, I guess Big Cass he's blaming it on depression. I don't know how depression works, but I don't think it makes you fucking asshole, starts fighting people. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But anytime this dude does some bozo shit, he says it's because of his depression, and I think you could only, stretch that excuse so far, but I don't want to get canceled or anything. So I don't know. Maybe depression does make you want to fight people, but so yeah, basically he pulled some backstage shit where I think he tried to fight Joey Janela. He's accusing other people of stealing his shit, and I guess Pat Buck just dropped him, and it was Pat Buck's show. It was like his last WrestlePro show before he goes to WWE, And I don't think it's an embarrassing moment just because I think anytime I hear about fighting wrestlers, it's always a way smaller dude fighting a way bigger dude, and usually the way smaller dude coming out on top. So I just think that's how it goes in wrestling. Because I remember, didn't Jericho get into it with Goldberg? I think Angle got into it with Brock Lesnar. I know I think Sin Cara fucking beat up Cass too. Sin Cara got into it with somebody too.
Sin Cara beat the brakes off Sheamus, didn't he?
Oh, maybe a Sheamus then, yeah.
And Yoshitatsu gave fucking Sheamus that work too. Allegedly because Sheamus didn't fucking wash his mixer bottle or something. And fucking Yoshitatsu had a fucking two-piece his ass.
So yeah, I think there's it's kind of a history of smaller wrestling dudes beating the shit out of bigger wrestling dudes. So if Big Cass, I think he has more to be embarrassed about than this.
I was gonna say this doesn't beat Joey Styles piecing up JBL. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like he fucking knocked him out. Cleep. He put his ass to sleep, right? And Pat Buck is like a built dude, so I mean, I think there's no shame in getting washed by Pat Buck, dude.
Yeah, he's pretty jacked. Yeah. The next one was just kind of a second part to that. It's from John. He says, at what point do we call DDP Yoga some bullshit? Cass went to see DDP and got his ass kicked by Pat Buck. Jericho preaches it, and it looks like he's going to explode. Not the best spokesman. I don't think DDP Yoga is some bullshit. When I first moved here, and I was still motivated to do stuff, and I still had a whole free room of no furniture. I did DDP Yoga for a month.
No shit, are you serious?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And it's definitely for people who are into wrestling. Or people who just never exercise.
Yeah.
Like me, because I fucking hate exercising. So it's perfect because it's just normal basic yoga moves. I think if you're a fan of DDP, it might motivate you more. I don't like DDP, so it doesn't motivate me, but it's easy enough for if you're a fat piece of shit, you can do it. I don't know what it did for Big Cass. If you really research it on the internet, it says there's no real ties into this, making you lose weight, because there's not, it's yoga. It makes you more flexible and supposedly makes you more healthy, but there's no weight loss benefits to it. But I mean, again, if you're a fat piece of shit like me and you just watch wrestling and you don't exercise, I think any exercise is going to make you lose weight. So as much as helping the Razor Ramon and Jake the Snake become not handicapped, I have no idea if that's real, but it's just basic yoga.
I'm a little confused by the question, John. Do you think yoga is a fighting art form? Why would you think that would factor into Big Cass being able to fight Pat Buck? I think yoga is not about fighting, John. I have to look that one up, buddy.
Yeah, it's just about being flexible.
Yeah, right? Touch your toes. Doesn't help you fucking put anyone to sleep. So we're going to hold off on the last two or what?
Yeah, you can go into your two-man scramble and then I'll...
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Now we're in a two-man scramble. So I have 3 topics, some merch chat. So speaking of working out, I'm about 3 weeks into using this New Japan pro wrestling push-up bar. Luckily, I was able to find a tutorial that actually had Yohei Komatsu, aka Yo, all capital letters, demonstrate what the optimal sex push-up looks like. And my review of sex push-ups, they're not actually bullshit at all. They actually really fucking hurt. They hurt really bad. But after 3 weeks, I do have some pretty decent shadowing on my shoulders, which is pretty sweet. But my question tied to this is there a wrestling feat of athleticism or strength that you wish you had, Mike? I'll go first. Mr. Perfect used to do these vignettes where there was one in particular where he threw himself a football, presumably across the entire field, and caught it, and then ran for the touchdown. So I think that's my dream wrestling feat of athleticism.
That's not real, though.
I mean, you don't know that.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It could be real. Yeah, I don't have any fantastical one like that. Honestly, I would just like to be able to do any of those kind of flying moves where they actually connect, and I don't know how they do it. I would I mean, this is basic shit, but I would like to be able to do a standing moonsault. That's fucking...
Oh, yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And I think that's something where, if you have any bit of, agility, it's probably not that hard, but I think being able to hit that and not fucking falling on your head is a real feat to me, so...
I agree, man. Anytime I try to do a backflip like into a pool, it just kind of looked like the Terry Funk moonsault. So to be able to do it straight also would be a dream of mine for fucking sure. Some other merch chat. So the other day, one of my grails popped up for sale, and it was that New Japan Asics jumpsuit that you had saw leading up to, I think, Starrcade 96. I think it was 96, where they had the New Japan versus WCW showdown. And it had all the Asian assassins. And they were all rocking this Asics jumpsuit. Anyway, the one that was for sale was from Kensuke Sasaki. And, like, I was in on this. Like, I was just going to dip into the 401k. And I was like, fuck it. Whatever this costs, I'm going to pay it. But this person that had it for sale, they listed the measurements. And after I figured out what the dimensions were, it was pretty jarring, Mike. I found out that the Power Warrior himself, one half of the Hellraisers, husband to the Dangerous Queen, Akira Hokuto, he was a fucking men's small at one point in his life. Like, whatever camera tricks they fucking pulled with this guy were like Oscar level, because this dude, at least like in 1995, was wearing like a men's size that I never wore in my life. Like, I feel like once I started to buy myself clothes, like I just went straight to medium. And so, like, this was, like, actually, like, a bummer because, like, I couldn't bid on this grail because Kensuke Sasaki might be 5'2". So this is probably, like, the same feeling that you got when you figured out that Taz wasn't a tough guy. I just thought I'd put this out there. That Kensuke Sasaki, at least at one point of his life, was smaller than me. Are you surprised by this, Mike?
I am pretty surprised. Small is a pretty small size. I think I've found out through us selling these shirts that a lot of wrestlers who have pretty good bodies, honk honk, are mediums. They're like size medium. And to me, like Al said, I grew up in the 90s, so I wasn't an extra large, but like all the t-shirts I ever had were extra large. Like they were just like, I would go to a hardcore show and they only sold extra large. Yeah. And like I would go to like, what would pass as a streetwear store back then. And it was like extra large to 3 extra large. There was like nothing smaller. So I just like, I've never known the joys of wearing a small or a medium. So, thinking any wrestler is a size small is pretty wild.
Yeah, I remember at Ross, they had a DKNY t-shirt and it was like 2X and I was like, perfect. That's totally fine. I was like 11. So it went down to my fucking calves. But I mean, like, I have never worn like, I'm pretty sure a men's small in my life, which was crazy. But Kensuke Sasaki does. I'm pretty fucking mad that he did, because if that jacket was my size, it would have been copped. Anyway, my last topic of the night put me on something. So I recently peeped the WWE Chronicle episode that focused on Sasha Banks, and it was pretty eye-opening. Sadly, there's no insight as to what she learned from Meiko Satomura or Chihiro Hashimoto, but it was interesting to hear her insight on how social media essentially like sent her down this spiral after the Paige situation happened. For those that don't know, I forgot what caused it, but essentially Sasha Banks ended Paige's career. There also was a part where she confirmed that she did not actually lie down on the floor and cry after having to lose the tag team titles to the Iconics. There's also a scene in this Chronicle episode where Noe Jose, he hugged Sasha like 9 times in the span of like 2 minutes. So it kind of makes me think that Noe Jose is like one of those guys that like is kind of into giving like unsolicited shoulder massages. I don't know. It's just a hunch, but he might be that kind of guy. Related put me onto something. It does seem though that like WWE is, it's kind of dead, but Sasha versus Becky at Clash of Champions was like actually a super fun match. So if you didn't unsubscribe yet from the network, I recommend watching it. It's pretty good. That was my last 2 minutes.
Yeah, I obviously did not see this because I did unsubscribe. I cut that cord. I'm gonna have to go on the torrents to find this. I'm waiting. They send me emails like, "Hey, do you want to sign back up so you can watch Clash of Champions?" Yeah. I'm waiting for this wealth of, "Hey, we'll give you 3 months for 99 cents." Like I always hear about. Yeah. I'm getting fucking pissed, but because they uploaded that 24-hour WCW thing or whatever it is. Not that I really need to see that, but there's some stuff I'd like to check out. I guess I really
should cancel it because I've been a day one and like, I don't know why I have such pride over paying $10 where people are paying either nothing or $1.
I gotta, Survivor Series is the next big one. I gotta imagine they gotta hit me with the 99 cents for 3 months. in October or something. So hopefully that happens. So I guess I'll go into my put me onto something, and it is $5 Wrestling's Carolina Stampede that happened last week. This was Joey Janela is just doing all these weird matches because he's going to AEW and not allowed to work the independents, and for some reason he wanted to wrestle $5 Wrestling's own Jeff Hart. This is going to be impossible to explain to anybody who doesn't watch $5 Wrestling or know what it is, but basically $5 Wrestling is a thing that kind of started by Colt Cabana and Jake Manning, and Marty DeRosa is in there too. I don't know if he had anything with starting it, but he's one of the commentators, and it's they just basically have this pool of wrestlers that might not be so good. They're basically worth $5. That's why it's called $5 Wrestling. And Jeff Hart is one of my favorites. It's a guy who is very obviously from North Carolina. He has a very thick accent along with a speech impediment. And he pretends to be from Canada, and he pretends to be related to Bret Hart. And anytime Jake Manning, the interviewer, asks him any questions about Canada or Bret Hart or anything, he doesn't know. He doesn't know any answers. He didn't know like the names of CFL teams, but he said he watches Canadian football. So it's just this thing. And for whatever reason, Joey Janela wanted to wrestle him before he went off to AEW. And this was also going to be a live $5 Wrestling, but some shit happened where it basically crapped out after the first match, and I was pretty upset, to be honest. I was fuming. I was like planning my whole week around watching this, and then it just died out, and I was like, motherfucker. And it took like a few days, it came up. And this match is like, there's people tweeting about it that were there, about how amazing it was, and I was just getting more and more upset. And I wasn't honestly really expecting much from this match because it's Jeff Hart and it's a guy who can barely wrestle. But it was amazing seeing like what can happen when somebody who's actually like good at wrestling wrestles somebody who's bad at wrestling and can carry him, because this was like a legitimate good match. Like it gave me like a feeling inside of like a match of the year type thing. It's not, technically it's not, because it's a guy who's very bad at wrestling a normal wrestling guy, but it was still like the things Joey Janela did with him, and it was just one of the greatest matches I've seen this year. It's highly recommended. It's funny. It's a great match. Jeff Hart goes with it the whole time. He's, I don't know. It was really amazing to see, and I definitely think you could plunk down the month-long subscription to High Spots just to watch this, or I think they sell it separately for $5. I don't even know, but it's definitely worth a watch for sure.
I didn't see the match, but the promo leading up to the match is legitimately incredible. I posted it as a story, and people thought the same thing. And so if you can track down that Jeff Hart promo from Joey Janela, it's worth watching.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just search like Jeff Hart, Joey Janela on YouTube to probably get a little sneak peek of it, because it's pretty fucking great. So my other topic before we go into those other questions is a little YouTube update. Last episode, I talked about Ryback's YouTube, and I talked about Kana, aka Otsuka's YouTube, and I just want to give a little update because I've been watching them somewhat religiously over the last couple of weeks. Kana's are already taken kind of like a downturn where it's getting kind of boring already. She's done a few videos where she plays video game music on a flute or a recorder, and it's not good. She has those piggies out though. She has some nice bare feet. So if you're a foot person, I think the first video she put, oh no, there's that video where she fixed a chair and she's barefoot in that. And I was like, that's just a coincidence. But at this point, I'm thinking maybe she knows what she's doing. Get those extra views on YouTube to get that money up. Maybe it's a nice little retirement plan for her, just discreetly showing her feet on a YouTube channel and getting paid for it. I don't know. I'm just spitballing out here. I don't know if that's true. But outside of, the bare feet, I don't think there's much to watch on this channel right now. I hope it kind of picks up. I hope it doesn't just become this abandoned YouTube channel. And, so it's kind of disappointing, but I'll update you guys if it changes, if there's more feet videos for you. Ryback is full bore head on to the YouTube lifestyle. That suicide wash is kicking, man. He is running through like every bad food challenge trend that has happened over the past 5 years on YouTube. He did, just within the span of these 1 or 2 weeks since we recorded, he did a video where he ate 50 spicy nuggets in his car by himself. I could not stand to watch that whole thing because, I watched some pretty depraved YouTube food reviewers, and I don't think any of them have done that, because that's just sad, man. Just sitting in your car eating 50 nuggets. That's some sad, lonely man. I'm gonna kill myself soon type shit. And I don't know, it was bad. There's another one with his old podcast pal Phoenix Marie, where they eat that hot lollipop. He handles that pretty well. And then the last one, the newest one. Oh, there's one where there's one called like Whining with Ryback. And I thought he was just going to complain about stuff, but he's actually talking about wine, and I couldn't even. Like, I pressed play, and I made it like a minute into it, and I was like, I can't listen to Ryback speak about wine, because this guy obviously does not know what the fuck he's talking about.
Is he talking about like, oh, these have like really like nice sweet notes to them? Is he using that kind of lingo like in these reviews or what?
I didn't even get that far into it, but I would assume that's what it is. And this is a man who on his podcast at one point said he takes all his dates to, I can't remember, but it's like Hard Rock Cafe or a place like that. Like that's his first date type of place. Cheesecake Factory? It might be okay. Cheesecake Factory. Yeah. It's just like, I mean, I know Vegas is like bizarro world to me because I've never been there, and they just have like a different way of life there. But actually, not according to 90 Day Fiancé, Colt on 90 Day Fiancé. That dude lives in a part of Vegas I did not know existed, because it is fucking boring. Like he lives in some boring ass part of Vegas. He never takes his fiancée to any fun part of Vegas. It's so weird. But anyways, back to Ryback. He had a video where he did his Mark for Life character, which I think is a good idea, but he just does not have the comedic chops to pull it off. But he's really into it, man. He really loves this Mark for Life character where he pretends to be a wrestling fan. What bothered me about this is he's wearing a brand new, I guess it would be almost vintage now, CM Punk t-shirt. So that means he probably bought this t-shirt just to do this bit. And, that's real sad, kinda. But, the last video he did was he ate the Pocky super hot one tortilla chip. They made another one that's even hotter now. And this dumb idiot eats this thing in the car. First, though, it's like a 20-minute video. It takes like 2 seconds to eat a chip. So already I'm like, oh my God, dude. But, the first 5 minutes, he's just talking about how like his channel's monetized and how the ads work. And that's what people want to hear at the top of anything is, you know, how, he's getting money from us. That's just really great topical stuff. But, he eats the chip. And then he drives to go to the drive-thru and get a coffee while he's just like, you know, in pain from eating this chip. And it's very strange. I'm still very concerned about Ryback and his mental health. I know he thinks he's being like a cool guy, and I'm glad he's so into doing YouTube because I love YouTube. But I really think, you know, Ryback found, you know, head down in a pool is coming very soon, coming maybe 2020. So watch it, guys.
Two things here. I think the Kana feet thing might be coincidental. I mean, Asian people take their shoes off when they go inside their house. So
they also, I mean, maybe she's not as aware of foot perverts. Maybe she's not. I don't know.
I don't know about that. I think it's twofold. She's like, well, one, I don't want to wear shoes inside the house, and two, people are going to tune in to watch these feet. Secondly, I did see that Mark for Life video, and man, if there's one thing that's festering in Ryback's soul, it has to be him calling himself "I'm a dumb piece of shit" when CM Punk told him to do it. Because that shirt thing was fucking brutal, man. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the last two Discord questions kind of tied into the stuff I want to talk about. 2-Man Scramble anyways. Welf asked, is MDK over with now that Bix has been anointed gang affiliated by Nick Gage, or is this something everyone lets slide because even the mafia needs its accountants and nerds? So, Bix, this came out like a while ago in print format, but it's resurfaced again because it's on some website. But, he wrote an article, like a kind of like a profile on Nick Gage. And, Nick Gage, or the Twitter account of Nick Gage, like retweeted it and said like, you know, Bix is gang affiliated, which is, I don't know if that's what you want with your like tough man brand, is to say Bix is gang affiliated because, he's like a known wiener. But, I don't think that really hurts Nick Gage's brand or anything. I think he would kind of need stuff like this to do stuff like this, because these are the kind of people he wants to appeal to get their money. And that's the name of the game, is getting that money. And, you want these nerds to think they're gang affiliated to get their money. And it makes sense to me. But it ties into what I was thinking about independently, which is, I think we're getting to a point where Nick Gage is pretty popular, and I don't know. I think there has to be at least an outside chance that he ends up in either WWE or AEW down the road. I mean, I know it sounds insane, but I remember at a point in my life where I was like, there's no way in hell Sabu would ever be in WWE. And sure enough, he ended up on Raw eventually. So I don't know. I think there might be a chance that Nick Gage ends up, maybe not WWE, but AEW. I could see them giving him a contract. He is, I think he's like 39, 40 though, so maybe he's a little too old, but I don't know. It seems like a good deal for him. But I don't know. What do you think? What do you think the chances of that happening are?
I think AEW is a more likely destination, but it's still really weird to think about. Like, how is he going to even talk like on national TV?
Yeah. At least, I guess Sabu had that benefit of not having to talk, and that was his gimmick. But even at the time of like Sandman, I was like, that's a guy who's never going to be. But then he went to WCW, and he's just like a corny version. I don't know. Nick Gage does seem like a pretty serious dude when it comes to like how much he loves this deathmatch shit and all that stuff. So, maybe I don't think you could tell him to turn his gimmick into like a hardcore hack like they did with Sandman and WCW. I don't think he could become like, Nick Jim. Like, I couldn't think of anything, but like Nick Rage. It's Nick Rage. I don't know. Maybe, but I think it can happen. I think it's something that people got to think about. He might be the next AEW bound guy. You never know. I want to start that rumor right now. Dirt sheets out there. Just listen to me. I think he's going to be in AEW.
Just to add on, are you keeping up with the Tekashi 6ix9ine trial at all?
I saw the drawings. They're pretty good. I saw that.
Incredible drawings, yes.
It made me think, I don't know why they're still doing courtroom drawings in 2019, but they still are. I saw that, like, he snitched, he ratted on people, but there are people I think were trying to harm him, so I don't think it's really a bad idea to rat on them. I don't know. He's one of those dudes who was basically manufactured by the internet anyway, so, I just hope whatever happens to him, I just never have to hear another song by him.
Anyway, there's a part in his confession or whenever he was on the stand, and they were talking about like how he was gang affiliated, and then I think the person that was questioning him was like, well, how did you get into the gang? Like, don't you have to initiate by doing work? And he said, no, I just paid. So I think that's what happened here. So, I mean, it's kind of like, when you sign up for Spotify, I mean, you can have the free trial, but you got to give that credit card first. You don't get the perks, but you can claim that you have Spotify. It's one of those deals, I think. So I don't think this hurts the MDK brand at all, honestly.
So you heard it here first. Mick paid for that Nick Gage tweet. That is the honest truth. You got it here. That's a big scoop. So the last question was from the Aleister Black Parade. And it's what's been on everybody's mind. It's what the cover art is of this episode. But basically, he says, WWE Shop just released 30 new shirts for low-level NXT guys. What is the best shirt out of the new collection? Are these exclusively for people who go to every house show in Florida? If you buy a Brendan Vink shirt, are you put on a similar list to replica belt collectors? Because you're clearly willing to spend your money on anything. If you guys don't keep up with the internet and wrestling, WWE did just like out of the blue dropped around 30 new NXT shirts, mostly for like C-level NXT guys, and they are all just like the most plain, like it just says a guy's name in kind of like a decent font, and that's it. And it's a black shirt, and that's it. And they are charging $28 for these things. It's one of those things like I looked at and it was like looking at a dream, like when you dream things and it's not quite right. Like, you see things in your dream and you have this urge to want them in your dreams. And then in real life, like your brain's thinking, why would you ever want that? It looks horrible. It's stuff like that. Like, it's just, why would they ever do this? And it's crazy because there's a guy like mentioned there named Brendan Vink. I don't even know who the fuck that is. He doesn't have a Twitter or an Instagram. And they're making a shirt for this man. And it's pretty plain. And like I said, it's all just their names, and their names are their names are either bland or so stupid that either way, you don't want to wear anybody's name on your shirt. Or, as far as what I think the best one is, this might be a not a popular pick, but I think the Dexter Loomis one is kind of okay because it has like a kind of like a theme you could see they were going for. And that's good because the rest of them there's no themes. It's just like we picked a font and that's that. I do have some theories about why they would do this. And my unrealistic theory, I have an unrealistic one and a realistic one, but my unrealistic one is that they finally took note of how well Pro Wrestling Tees is doing. And they were like, why don't we just make horrible shirts too? And if they're doing so good with their horrible shirts, maybe that's what's going to go on. We just need to make even more horrible shirts than we already do, and they'll sell. Like I said, that's unrealistic. What I think is realistic is I think they're like, okay, these people are going to be on TV, and we have so many of these guys now, and they're all kind of just have these bland names, like I said. So we're going to do like the big boys do and make them wear their own merch. And this way you can be like, oh, that's so-and-so because I could see it on his shirt. And I think that's why they're so plain and just like a name on a shirt because it's like basically a name tag. And and so you can see like Swerve. You can see Isaiah Scott Swerve or Cameron Grimes, Trevor Lee, and be like, oh, that's Cameron Grimes. It says it right on his shirt very clearly. That's Brendan Vink, the NXT superstar, Brendan Vink, of course. My problem with these shirts, besides just being insanely bland, and I can't believe they're trying to sell them, is that's what my problem is they're selling them for $28. These aren't even discounted. They're 28 full American dollars. These look like shirts that they look like NBA playoff shirts. Like these should be on your seats when you go to Full Sail. And I honestly think that's what they should do with them, because it's just like, oh, you show up to go see wrestling. Maybe you're not wearing a WWE shirt. Oh, I have a free Brendan Vink shirt. Let me put this on. And then it's like you have the branding, and it just seems like that seems like the best way to do it. Don't sell these shirts, WWE. Just give them away for free because they're that quality of shirts. So I don't know. But Al, what do you think of all these new NXT shirts?
I have a lot of thoughts. For one, did you see the Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo shirts? Essentially, they made the same exact shirt, but they just flipped the image. And I guess they're going to be a tag team, but like the theme is the exact same, which was nuts. Secondly, Conor Reeves has like things that are attached to his character. He has the finest. He has his chains. He's from Hawaii. And the shirt that they made him is fucking brutal. It's like they made it in like Word.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But the one that stood out to me is they made a shirt for, I think this guy used to be called the Black Otaku, and now his name is Dio Madden, and he just does commentary for 205 Live. My question is, who is going to wear that shirt? Like, what are you actually rooting for? Like, man, I like the way this guy calls Jack Gallagher matches. Like, I don't know what had gone into that shirt or why they made that guy a shirt. I'm just very confused.
That actually that gave me a question too, because the picture I saw has the Dio Madden shirt right near the Isaiah Scott Swerve shirt. Right. And it's the same design. One's red and blue. And I don't watch NXT enough, so I just assumed they were friends. But now I'm assuming it's just because they're both black. Is that what you're telling me? Is that's why they have the same design? Are they friends on NXT?
Yeah, it's a little puzzling. That's why I was so like shocked by the Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo. Like, I don't think they're tag team partners, but like they made the exact same shirt for like them. Also, as someone who hosts a World Champion Sound podcast, who are the Outliers? Do you know?
No, that name's so bad. And that's like one of the worst ones. It just has that gradient effect on it. It's like, that's one button in Photoshop and that's a shirt.
Other than that, to answer your question on what the best one is.
And Arturo Huas has the Goatsy shirt, where it's the fucking guy pulling open his asshole, and that's his shirt. It's Goatsy. That one they need to pull off the market. Guys, if you want to buy one of these that's going to become a collector's item, get the Arturo Huas one, because that one's going to be pulled off the market.
I think it's sweet that guy, I'm guessing, named himself after Marco Huas, the king of the streets, UFC 7. The best shirt, though, which is not in the ad, I think is the Street Profits one, because like they made it look like a 90s rap bootleg tee, and I thought it was like a noble effort. But I mean, like, I wouldn't wear it, but if I had to pick, that would be the one.
Yeah, I wouldn't even count that with that one, because they're like kind of established. All the established guys they made new shirts of, they aren't they're terrible, but they aren't that terrible. But all of like the newer shirts, like the Jordan Miles and stuff like that, is just like really. It was really like they had to make 50 shirts and they had 24 hours to do it. It's just very bizarre.
Also, what an oversight. No goddamn Tino Sabatelli t-shirt. And that guy's been in NXT for like 9 years. The disrespect.
Isn't he like done? Isn't he handicapped forever or something?
I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I'm really rooting for that guy to come back. He's my favorite.
That's it.
Up next, today's topic, the 2019 Fan Etiquette Guide. The most charming of fans, Alan Mike, laid down some commandments when it comes to rooting for one of America's greatest art forms. Please stay tuned.
I see you looking at me. I can tell by your eyes that you're feeling me. And I really want you to get close to me. So would you dance with me? Dance with me. My drop tops in the parking lot. And I'm gonna take you back to my spot. But we still got a little more time to run. So would you dance with me? Dance with me. I can see you over there, just chilling with your girlfriends. Can't believe you're by yourself. You should be here with me, chilling with me, drinking with me, freaking with me. Oh, 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 oh. I see you looking at me. I can tell by your eyes that you're feeling me. And I really want you to get close to me. So would you dance with me? Dance with me. My drop tops in the parking lot. And I'm gonna take you back to my spot. Baby, got a little more time to run. So would you?
And we're back with Virtual Pros episode 96. Today's topic, the 2019 Fan Etiquette Guide. So I kind of struggled with this prompt. I was trying to figure out like a way to talk about Mike and I's like mental gatekeeper rules that we have. Like, for example, like if you don't pay for your internet bill, I probably don't care about what you think about wrestling, but that was too hard. So since Mike and I watch live wrestling fairly often, I just thought it'd be a good idea to establish maybe a yearly guide. Maybe this could be a segment every year that we do in terms of, you know, trying to be the best wrestling fans we could be. And so I had made 3 rules. I'm pretty sure Mike did as well. And I'll start off with the first one. This is probably my most important one, so please listen carefully. I think this is like a pretty foolproof rule. If you're taking a photo with a women wrestler, if they don't touch you, you can't touch them. And I think this was prompted by a post that someone sent us on Instagram, where this guy, he made an account, like he made his social media persona, like it was just revolved about him doing prom poses with celebrities and wrestlers at meet and greets. And like, listen, like you're not fooling me, pal. Like, I think what you're doing is not great. Like, for one, everyone is just gonna share these photos of you looking like a creep. And I know, like, you probably didn't go to your prom, at least with, like, a date or someone, like, you're not related to. But, like, this is just bad form. And so, like, I kind of just feel like you should treat this shit like you've been there before, like a baseball player hitting a home run. Like, just act like you've done it before. And maybe just keep your hands to yourself. I think it looks way cooler if, like, a women wrestler's touching you and you're just like, this is not a big deal, so just don't touch.
I don't know. I take offense to this, I think. I'm not saying...
What's it take offense?
I'm not saying you have to be a fucking pervert and, like, have a whole handful of ass or anything like that, but if I'm taking pictures with somebody, I mean, man or woman, yeah, I'm probably gonna, like, have some kind of contact with them, because if not, you're just standing there like a ding-dong with your, like, hands at your sides, and then that's even more awkward. First of all, it's awkward as it is to be taking pictures of people you don't know. So you have to make it look as personal as you can. I mean, it's backfired. I have a picture of, with me and Pentagon, and like I have my arm like on his back or whatever. And it's like right after a match, and he was just full of sweat. And I was like, oh, take this picture. Let's get this over with. So, I mean, but it's just, you know, that's how you take pictures with people. So, I don't know. It's
no, there's like a caveat to it. I feel like if they touch you, then I think it's okay to, like, put the arm around somebody. Yeah. Like, so for example, like, I don't know if you know who Uta Hikaru is. She did the theme song for Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
She's like the Mariah Carey of Japan. Anyway, she did a US tour. And I went to go see her at like a meet and greet. And I just brought a record and I was like, hey, can you sign this? And she was cool with it. And I was like, can I get a photo? And I had, no, like, inclination to, like, even put my hands on her because I just thought that was weird. But she put her arm around me and I'm like, all right, it's on. And so I just put my arm around her. So I think that's fine. However, if you're like at a meet and greet at WrestleMania with Becky Lynch and you're just like, hey, I paid for this ticket, I got to touch her any way I want to, I think that's pretty fucking foul.
Yeah, it's up there with the people who do like the fake proposals. And it has to be, as far as for the wrestlers, it has to be as awkward as when like a little kid brings really bad art to them that they know they have to throw out. Like, it's just like, oh, like you can't be like, no, you can't take this proposal picture because you're getting paid like $100 to do it. So it's just, I understand what you're saying, but I also, at the same time, guys, if you're in this position and you're taking pictures with women's wrestlers and have their arm around you, don't do the hover hand. That's just, don't do it.
Oh, yeah. Is that for thrift store jobber or what?
He's a hover hander. So my first topic is, when me and Al were coming up with this, we talked about snitch tagging. I thought we were gonna double team this, but luckily I had something along the lines of snitch tagging people on Twitter. I gotta preface this and say all three of my things are basically me bitching about people on the internet and aren't really etiquette things at all. And I'm gonna come off like a real heel here for all of these. So just be prepared to not like me anymore, because these are just more pet peeves than anything. But the snitch tagging thing, I think is odd. It's a real weird thing to ever do unless you personally know, the person you're snitch tagging. Like, maybe you personally know him. You're like, hey, this is my friend. I think he would like to hear this. But if it's it's a wrestler that you don't know, and you're doing it, maybe they don't want to see that shit. That's the thing. They vanity search if they want to see it. So maybe they don't want to see this shit, so don't fucking tag them. There's some people who don't want to see negative comments about them. I don't go searching for negativity about me. Like, I'm sure it's out there, but I don't want to see it. I don't. So I think snitch tagging, maybe you think you're helping, or maybe you're just thinking you're being clever or something, but I think it's a bad thing to do. The thing I don't like, and this is, like I said, people are gonna hate me for this, but I don't like when people just overly tag wrestlers for mundane shit all the time. Just because you're watching some match that's not even happening live, you're just watching it on fucking streaming or something, and you're tagging these indie guys, and I'm sure they love it because, there are indie dudes coming up, and they probably want to have that recognition, but I just hate it, man. If I was in that position, and every time I open Instagram or Twitter, I was tagged 1,000,000 times just because some guy was just watched my match, I'd be kind of upset, honestly, because it's just like, I don't want to sort through this. It's one thing if you know the person or something like that, but again, it's just like, just calm down with all the tagging and the hashtags. Unless you're like an actual journalist, why are you doing this? We're beyond this on Twitter. Hashtags mean nothing. Hashtags are just a way to find other people that are also watching it. There's no, like, Entertainment Tonight is not going to see your hashtag and be like, oh my god, he's a great Twitter person, let's get him on air so he can report on this fucking bullshit wrestling that's happening in North Dakota. We really need this guy and his input. So I don't know. It's just it's one of those things where it's like, oh, notice me, and I just don't like that shit. I don't like when people are really sticking their necks out to be noticed. You should be noticed for your hard work and for your talent, not just for tagging people on the internet.
I was thinking about like most deplorable Twitter activity, and snitch tagging is up there, but I think it's the most awkward when like people are like, hey man, having a rough day, had to put my dog down today. It'd really mean a lot if you RT'd this or thought of me or liked it. And I'm like, man, you're putting someone in a really bad position. And so that always made me kind of cringe.
The people who do it are just so selfish. Just don't be selfish. Like, you can't be like, oh, I'm having a bad day. Some words of encouragement would be nice. Like, fucking find a friend. Find like a real fucking friend that cares about you, not some person that you idolize as a celebrity. It's fucking weird, man. Get a friend.
They want their friend to be Kenny Omega, though, man. What the fuck? Anyway, my second one. I don't know why this shook me so much, but I think this might be the most deplorable fan that I see at wrestling events. I think you shouldn't challenge wrestlers to fight unless you're gonna hop the guardrail. So, like, last episode, I talked about this dude at the SF State J-Cup show. He really had me thinking, man. Like, I've seen this fan more than once. Where, like, they'll just kind of mutter to themselves, like, oh, man, Randy Orton's not so tough. I could take him. or like they'll actually like vocalize their displeasure and like actually challenge a wrestler to fight. And like this has to be like the cringiest live fan behavior to me, because like it's essentially like doing that thing where like you say you want to fight, but like you just run to the teacher's desk or something. You know, like for fucking sure that wrestler's not going to touch you unless you swing, and then they will for sure fuck you up. So like if you really want to fight that wrestler, you got to swing first if you're really about it. So I think like if you really feel this way and you don't jump the guardrail or like meet them at the airport or something, I think you just have to like look in the mirror and just like admit that like you're a pussy and like you're lying to yourself, and maybe find another hobby.
Yeah, it's like when those people like go to like haunted houses and like bop the people on the head to show that they're not scared. It's like, oh, you're not scared of this teen who's making $8 to be here? Like, don't be a fucking asshole. Just enjoy it. And yeah, I saw Eddie Kingston like rip that dude's shirt off at AAW once, and that was pretty sweet. Yeah. And but yeah, it's like, what are you doing, man? Just go on with the show. You obviously you're not gonna fight Eddie Kingston. Just calm down. My next one is something that kind of bothers me in every single kind of subculture, not just wrestling. And it's the people, I think the generalization would be like the people who are like, oh, they don't make this like they did when I was a kid. And that is like the worst attitude to have. I think you could have this attitude about any kind of like subgenre of wrestling, but I do find it most annoying when it's like the old school wrestling, like anything from, you know, like sub 1990, like Southern wrestling, British wrestling, when you're just like, oh man, you know, this is really my shit, is this 1984 NWA. And it's like, oh, okay, it's fine if that's your shit. Like, I grew up watching Kung Fu movies, and I know Kung Fu movies aren't for everybody. I showed Kung Fu movies at a theater for 3 years, like every Sunday for 3 years, and by the attendance, I could tell it's not everybody's shit to watch Kung Fu movies. But I grew up on it. But I'm not just sitting around going, man, Kung Fu movies are the best movies ever made, and you can't tell me nothing. That newfangled stuff, it's not for me. I think that's a real piss poor attitude to have. It's probably false on top of it. It's one thing to like enjoy something and be into it, but when you have to announce it to other people, like within earshot, to be like, no, this is the real good stuff. That new stuff, I don't even know. It makes no sense to me. And it's like, you're kind of the asshole in that. Like anybody who's modern is not the asshole. So you can't pull that. You definitely can't pull it with music. You could somewhat pull it with movies, because I think movies are maybe like the one kind of media that maybe has gotten worse over time. But everything else, it's just like, I think wrestling's a little better now, so you can't do this, I don't think.
What year like is the cutoff where you think it's like sort of justified? Could you do this for like 1997?
See, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I've said it a million times on the show. I think like the mid-90s New Japan Juniors is my favorite version of junior wrestling. And I think I can make a good argument that it is the best. Like, it was the best of all time. Is it more athletic, or is it as insane as junior wrestling now? No, obviously not. But I just think that's why I like that 90s, because I think it has like a good pace where they're still doing like daredevil shit and they're doing insane moves, but it's paced well. They're not doing the shit where they're hanging, like they have their two arms on the ropes, hanging off the ropes so somebody could stomp them. They're not doing like a million super kicks where they're slapping their thighs. It's just like right in the middle. So, you know, maybe I'm going to become a grandpa. So by having that opinion, because it's, you know, we're 20 years removed from that. So 25 years even. So it's just kind of like, maybe that is a grandpa opinion now. But as for me, I think that's the best shit. Am I going to go on top of a mountain and proclaim that everybody needs to feel like that way? I'm not gonna, but you know, deep down, that's what I believe.
You're not a grandpa, dude. El Samurai, best junior ever, dude. No doubt fucking about it. My last, fan guide commandment. Crowd comedians. If you fire off 2 jokes in a row and don't get a laugh, you have to shut the fuck up for the entire show. And I know some people have a tough time reading the room, but I think it's a pretty solid rule. Like, I mean, sometimes like I'll feel it in my heart to scream about Okada's thighs, like in Dallas when I did it. But like for those that are dying to like try their newest material about Ishimori in front of people they've never met, I think you get 2 chances. Like if you get a laugh the first time, maybe let that joke breathe, and then, you know, you can take your next shot at making people laugh. If you keep it going, then okay, you know, it's like a 3-point contest. Like fucking test that hot hand. But if you brick twice, like, you either have to leave or, like, you can't say a word the entire time and you just have to look at your phone or something. So, crowd comedians, if you're listening, 2 strikes and you're out, I think.
I think that's the thing. Everybody who does it doesn't think they're the one who does it, basically. Like, they're just like, oh, no, it's funny when I do it. And if no one laughs, it's not funny, though. So that's, you just gotta face the facts. If no one's laughing, it's not funny. That's how it works, unfortunately. My last one is something we always tiptoe around on here, and this is the one that's going to get people to stop listening to Virtual Pros, but I just got to get it off my chest. And it's I'm old. I've admitted that a lot on this episode in the past. I'm pretty old at this point where I just want to die, guys. I don't want to be alive anymore.
Come on, Mike. What the fuck, man?
I sit at home thinking about it, like, man, even if I could go out right now, I just don't have the energy to go out, and it's like, it's pretty sad to me because I was pretty into, like, maybe not going out, but getting fucked up. I was pretty into getting fucked up for most of my life. So now that I'm like, can't handle it, it's just like, ooh, fuck. But anyways, I think like the younger generation under me, is like, they're what I like to call and what other people like to call extremely online. And there are people who just like have never lived without online in their life. So the things they say online, they feel like it's a part of like actual reality. And it just doesn't compute in my old brain where I lived without online for a long time. And I've actually had to have like real life conversations with people and talk to them and kind of, see what they were like. And I couldn't just throw a statement out into the world and not look at the replies because that's not how real life works. And, young people, they don't have that suffering of not always having online like I did where you actually have to do this stuff. So, but basically what I'm getting at is there's like a lot of people who, want to find every single thing that's probably wrong with wrestling. I don't mean like, oh, wrestling's bad. I mean like the political stuff about wrestling, the shady stuff, the sketchy stuff about wrestling, and they want to bitch about it online. And it's mind boggling to me because like it's wrestling. I think in order to get into wrestling on any level, you have to be somewhat of a broken individual. It's a real weird thing to do. I mean, it's basically just like porno. It's porno, but with fighting instead of sex. Porno is the same thing where I think you have to be kind of like a little fucked up to get into it. Or just supremely horny. I don't know, but, you have to be like kind of fucked up. And these people that want to nitpick every single like non-PC thing that happens in wrestling and, talk about it online, it's kind of weird. It's just like, I'm sure these same people watch porn and they're not like fucking jacking it thinking, oh, is this person like morally right? Did she vote for Trump? Like, I don't think they think that when they're watching porn. So I don't think you should think about this stuff when you watch wrestling because you're watching it. But furthermore, I understand, somebody's a Nazi, somebody's this, somebody did that, somebody fucking fucked an underage girl. I understand these things are morally horrible. And you should voice your opinion about them, but maybe like 3 times, you say it 3 times. And if you're still this fed up, just not watch wrestling. That's just like what I'm getting at is if you're this fed up, like if wrestling is so morally reprehensible to you, I don't think it's ever going to change. It's like, you're not going to have like completely moral people ever, wanting to damage their bodies for entertainment. For acceptance. That's never going to happen. I don't think we're ever going to live in a society where that happens. And it's just kind of like, I grew up like in like the hardcore and punk scene, always very politically correct, always like fighting for stuff like that. But there's another subgenre like oi music, which is like a skinhead music. And it's like, there's skinheads that are racist and there's skinheads that are not racist. And even the not racist skinheads, a little too sketchy for me. So I don't fuck with it. Cause I'm just like, they dress just like the racist skinheads. I don't think I want to be associated with this. This is weird. And, so I just don't listen to music. I don't follow it. I have friends that like are in that skinhead lifestyle, but I'm just like, I don't want to know about it. I don't want to like tweet about it on the internet. And that's kind of how I feel about like, if you're like that morally against wrestling, just stop watching it. Cause it's just like to the point. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get super into I'm I'm pretty fucked up right now, so I'm just kind of like rambling. But it's just like, if you are that, like, I don't know, delicate about things, I don't think wrestling is for you. There's many more hobbies. You can watch many TV shows where everybody's great and has a great life, I'm sure. But wrestling is just not the thing to get into if you're gonna be this angry about it, basically.
I can't follow this up, but it's my co-host Mike, and this is Virtual Pros, motherfuckers. Up next, the mixtape with Jinsei Shinzaki, Bam Bam Bigelow, Crystal from P.I., and John Cena spitting those bars. Please stay tuned.
Okay, we are back here on Virtual Pros, episode 96. If you're still listening after I got kind of weird, it's okay if you're not listening anymore. I understand. Sometimes I have these thoughts that they don't come out verbally correctly, so I just probably sound like a blithering idiot. But anyways, this is the world famous mixtape segment. We each pick a couple matches. We put them on our YouTube playlist that you can find at Virtual Pros Mixtape on YouTube, or just search VRTL Pros and subscribe to our channel. And then you'll always have them. We skipped it last week, so there's some build up. So the first match I have for the night is from Big Mouth Loud from 2006. It is Jinsei Shinzaki versus Yoshitsune, I should say, versus Alexander Otsuka and some guy named Rase, who I wasn't very familiar with. I chose this match. I can't remember if somebody recommended me this match. I think I might have just stumbled on this one. But anyway, I chose this match because I think a couple episodes ago I talked about how this Yoshitsune guy is kind of like, I think an unsung kind of hero of Japanese wrestling. He's mostly known for trying to sabotage Io Shirai and her boyfriend at the time. Who was it? Who was her boyfriend at the time?
Nosawa,
yeah. By planting weed on them when they were in Mexico, traveling back to Japan. And I think this guy lives in Mexico now. Also, surprisingly, I think this is the first time Alexander Otsuka is on the mixtape, and I used to really like this guy back in the day. So it's taken him. I don't think so.
I think I had a Battle Arts match one time with him. I could be wrong though. I think it was him versus Ikeda.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
But I do think Alexander Otsuka is one of those guys. I think he's still kicking around. I think before he gets too old, he should do one of these WrestleMania weekends, and they should bring him back. I don't really know what the drawing power is, but I mean, at the same time, they brought in like Minoru Tanaka, and I guess Taka still has draw, but like Dick Togo comes back. I don't think Dick Togo is like a huge draw. So get Alexander over here. I would probably travel to see him once. It is like just watching this match. I mean, this kind of a standard tag team match. It's kind of a regular wrestler guy versus, or two, regular wrestler guy and a high flying guy versus a regular wrestling guy and a high flying guy. So that's kind of the dynamic, and it's a pretty standard match. But even watching this, it's really sad that it didn't work out for Yoshitsune, and I think he's had some other names that he's probably better known as, but it's because I feel like he could have had at least like 14 bootleg shirts at this point, because he's just like, his whole deal, he's so crisp at the aerial stuff he does, and his whole costume is insane, and it was just like a fart in the wind. It just didn't work out. He's not really well remembered, and he just has like a crazy fucking look, and it's real sad it didn't work out. Rase, like I said, I wasn't really familiar with him. I looked him up. He wrestled as like, mini sumo Dandy Fuji. I can't remember his name, but he was in like Toriyamon. He also wrestled as Hayabusa Sito somewhere, but I don't know where. But he did that. So he's just kind of like a general. He's like Yoshitsune. He's a guy who's general high flying guy who's just been all over the place with many different names and, you know, completely forgotten, even though he was only around about 10 years ago. So basically going into this match, I was like, okay, there's a lot of signature moves going on here. And one of those signature moves is Alexander Otsuka's giant swing, which is one of my favorite wrestling moves. So I was like, oh man, he's fighting a fucking, like, Yoshitsune. He's probably like 98 pounds, maybe. So I'm like, he's gonna get that giant swing and it's gonna be great. And it didn't disappoint. He gets him pretty good and just kind of fucking throws him. And he does a good 360 there. The crowd didn't really seem to give a shit, which was very surprising because I would have been losing my shit if I saw that. So very quiet and respectful Japanese crowd, as they would say. But we don't get the other signature moves. We don't get we get the Jinsei Shinzaki praying powerbomb, but we don't get the rope walk. And I'm pretty sure Yoshitsune has a move where he runs across the ropes too. And I was like, oh, they're going to do like the rope walk and he's going to run across the ropes and it'll be crazy. And, that didn't happen. So I guess maybe they didn't have it in them that day, but you do get the giant swing. This is a pretty fine match if you're fans of these wrestlers and, you want to see like a decent, you know, somewhat high flying and also grounded match at the same time. But I wouldn't say it's like necessary or anything, but it's a good 10-minute match.
Yeah. Otsuka, he has a singlet and he made the back. He made it look like an A.
Yeah.
For Alexander. I thought that was real creative, very Pinteresty of him to do. I think it was in the middle of the match. Otsuka has Yoshitsune in a standing suplex and he holds it for a while, showing off his strength. And I think he thinks it's impressive, but then one guy claps for him. But I'm pretty sure it was like an act of like patronizing him because like, yeah, like you had said, like Yoshitsune weighs like 80 pounds and Mike and I could do that like right now off the couch. So like, who the fuck cares, dude? Like, who cares that you can hold this guy up for that long? Like, he's not very heavy. Afterwards though, Otsuka, he heard us talk shit about him and he really shows that strength off and what can be best described as like a shoot giant swing. He is fucking flinging Yoshitsune around. It's a sight to see. But yeah, other than that, this match kind of stunk. Like, the energy was, like, pretty low. And it seemed like Yoshitsune, like, he had something on his mind. Like, he was, like, I think towards the end, like, they had a finish planned out, and he was, like, on the other side of the ring. And Otsuka was like, what the fuck are you doing? Yoshitsune, Shinzaki. And maybe he was just plotting how to frame Yoshirai and Nosawa that day or something.
Could be.
Yeah, he looked like his mind was in a different place, but this match was whatever. My first video of the night, not a wrestling match, but a wrestling man. John Cena, Right Now, the music video. So like clockwork, Mike, when it starts to get darker earlier and those leaves start to change, I put on that Build beanie, I put on that 555 Soul hoodie, and I kind of take myself back to the late 90s and early 2000s. And I listen to that real hip hop. I think it's because like after a summer of like listening to like music that makes me want to speed, and the Shield theme as well. Like, you know, I need a little fucking like refresh. So, you know, I'm talking listening to Jedi Mind Tricks, some fucking hieroglyphics. Might listen to some Black Star or something. But right now, I'm revisiting that John Cena You Can't See Me album from 2005. So, 2005, I believe, if memory serves me correctly, it was kind of like at a time where like that sped up soul sample sound was like getting replaced by what I guess you can call ringtone rap, where like everything kind of just sounded like Laffy Taffy. So like this whole sped up sample sound was getting played out, but I'll always have like a soft spot for that chipmunk sound. So full disclosure, I love this beat that John Cena raps over. So this video, it takes place in John Cena's hometown of West Newbury, Massachusetts. And I guess it's a backyard party. I'm guessing John Cena got done watching that Common Come Close video where Common, he's trying to woo that deaf girl through like wrestling signs. And so John Cena, like, I'm assuming, like, watched this video and he's like, that's a good theme. So like throughout the video, he's holding like these written signs up. There's lowriders in this video, which I'm a little surprised by. I don't think Massachusetts as a hotbed for like lows, but you know, what do I know? Maybe there's a big lowrider culture out there. This video is spliced with old home video footage of John Cena as a kid. And John Cena's face hasn't changed since he was like 5. It's a little weird to see, but it's true. There's a real like, hey, I'm back home for Thanksgiving, from college. Let's come hang out at my parents' house kind of vibe for this video. There's only 2 settings in this video, and it's either John Cena's backyard or the bowling alley, which is a little depressing, but it's very authentic. But overall, I think Right Now was like my favorite track off that whole album.
Huh.
I think Bad Man with Murs wasn't on this album. I think it was like a B-side. So that's like actually the best John Cena rap song, but like this video is really fun, and I suggest you check this video out. What'd you think?
Oddly enough, my first note was I thought this was a very odd choice to make a video out of, but I guess I was wrong because Al's the #1 fan of this kind of bullshit song. But either way, because John Cena's album is not great, but it's a lot better than probably anybody thought it would be. So
I think it's pretty solid, man. He's not bad.
I think the best song is the one I think it was the first video, the one with Freddie Fox. I think that's the strongest song. But yeah, I didn't write it down, but in Al's notes, he's right. John Cena has the same face for his whole life. Like, he just grew up looking like an adult. And it's so crazy because he also has the kind of the face and head shape of a man that you would think would be balding in like his early 20s, but he still has a full head of hair. He's in his 40s now. So, hustle, loyalty, respect right there. John Cena living a clean life, somehow still has all his hair, but he looked like he was about to bald at like 7 years old. So that's pretty good for him. I would like to know the origins of this cookout. I would like to know if John Cena was like, hey, I'm shooting a video. I would like to have a pretend cookout with my friends, or this was an organic cookout. I would like to think it was the latter, that he just happened to be having a cookout and he's like, this is a perfect backdrop to my video. So that's what I would like to imagine, but hopefully it's nothing nefarious. Strange things about the cookout though. Cena is the only one that's topless. That is a strange look. You gotta have at least one or two other dudes there topless. Cause I don't know if he's going for a menacing thing or what, cause it's like, to compare this to maybe Chief Keef's 300 video, which is like, pretty much everybody's introduction to Chief Keef. It's him and 70 of his friends all topless in a tiny apartment. And it looks pretty menacing. But when you're at a cookout and you're just one man who's muscular and you have your shirt off, you just kind of look like a jerk. So, real, two different messages there.
I don't know, man. Maybe Trademark just felt a little, conscious about how his body looked compared to John Cena's godlike body.
No, I understand that. There's no one at that cookout that has the muscles John Cena has, but call a couple other people that aren't afraid to take their shirts off. Maybe find some friends that have some tattoos. Then it looks tough. Speaking of like odd things about this video, the amount of times that John Cena points to his bear on this video is kind of strange. It's honestly like if he was a teenager, because it's only bear. It's not like he's in like, fucking fancy hip hop video and he's drinking like Moet or anything. He's pointing at some bullshit domestic beer, and it's just like, okay, dude. Yeah, I know. I'm 21 too. Like, it's not a big deal to drink beer at a bowling alley, but it seemed to be a very big deal for John Cena. It's also honestly kind of strange because I would always imagine John Cena is one of those people who never drank in his whole entire life. So maybe that's why he's pointing at it, because he doesn't drink and he's like, oh, this is what people do that drink beer. They gotta point it out. I don't know. My last note is, these guys are from West Newbury, which I believe is near Boston. They kind of have that look. You gotta assume after this video, they probably went out and committed some acts of racism.
No,
like, I'm not the only guy thinking this, right? I'm not the only guy thinking this. World famous Mark Wahlberg, he was also a rapper. Also blinded a Vietnamese man with a rock, committed acts of racism. So, I don't know, you got that stink on you, Boston, so you can't. You look at these guys, you're like, they probably did something racist after this, but that's just me.
Big Gordon Hayward fans for sure. This party, no doubt about it.
So my last match is Andre the Giant, Dr. Wagner Jr., and Bam Bam Bigelow versus Kinect, Fishman, and Villano 3 from April 1992 of some Mexican wrestling promotion. I think this is just something I saw posted on the internet, and I was like, that's an interesting matchup. I knew it was going to suck. Listen to me. I knew this was going to suck. It's from 1992. It's lucha libre. It's not going to be good, but my curiosity was piqued. This is, if you guys are not familiar with Andre the Giant, he goes to heaven about 8 months after this. So this is pretty much one of his last hurrahs in the ring. And you can tell, oh boy, Andre is in the rare red singlet, which I think this is the only time I've ever seen him in a red singlet. So that's worth the price of admission right there, because you're not going to see that too often. But yeah, Andre is he is like a dying dog, man. He's like a 20-year-old, like Labrador or something, whose hips are just shot. He's just like trying to walk to his water bowl, and it's just but he's a wrestler, and it's sad to watch. It's like he's hunched over the whole time. It takes him like a lot of effort just to get onto the ring apron, basically. It's Mexico, so I don't think they care about stuff like that. So they're just like, hey, just go out there and do your stuff. Your health doesn't really matter that much. I also wanted to pick this match just to highlight how cool is the name Fishman. I don't think this guy gets brought up enough for how cool his name is, because
he's super cool. I agree.
Yeah, he's just named Fishman, but it's one word, so you can almost pull off Fishman. Like, I'm Jim Fishman, and that's a cool name. It's too bad he's kind of just like a old timey luchador, and he has nothing notable about him. He's just a guy with the name Fishman. His costume isn't even very aquatic, honestly, but he just has that name. This might be the absolute laziest wrestling match I've ever seen in my life. This is like, the first 6 minutes are just them stalling and just doing like the slowest shit. This is a full 20 minutes, and there's few parts that even pick up beyond a snail's pace, basically. There's one part where, the coolest part, I guess, of this video is when Andre's in the ring. Villano 3 runs the ropes like 54 times, like all the ropes, fucking vertical and horizontal, just over and over again, to build up enough strength to hit Andre the Giant to try and knock him over. And I think that's pretty cool. As far as, old-timey wrestling, even though 92, it's not that old. The way this match has worked, you would expect this to be like 1982 or something. But it's cool to think about, like, that was kind of like wrestling logic, to be like, I gotta run these ropes 100 times just to build up enough strength. So I thought that was cool. Outside of that, I think, I don't know if I'll ever get to do this, because I don't know if I'll keep the motivation, but I would really like to take this video and edit it and put like a purple tint over it, and put like some slowed down song over it, because this is like very much like the most codeine wrestling I've ever seen. It's just like, it has that feel to it, that trippy feel, that Sunday afternoon, I'm fucking hungover and I feel weird kind of feel to it. It's not really recommended unless, I don't know, you're just like super high or something, and you just have like the curiosity, because it's so slow. But I'm glad I watched it, but I probably wouldn't make other people watch it.
Yeah, dude, Andre in a red singlet looks like he's wearing like a prom dress or something. It fucked me up this entire like 20 minutes of this match, honestly. Lucha experts, could you please let me know who is the best Villano out of the 5? And who is the worst? I'm very curious. Who was the guy on WCW? 4?
Yeah, I think it's 4.
He was pretty good. Anyway, let me know. VirtualPros64@gmail.com. I thought this match was kind of whatever, but my biggest takeaways were that this has to be like one of the biggest shows of dominance a wrestler has ever shown, because I think for like 19 minutes, Andre the Giant made all of his opponents look like some real bozos. They were like drop kicking him. They were just like falling to the floor. He was just slapping these dudes in the chest, and they were like selling it like they got shot. It was pretty crazy to watch. And Bam Bam Bigelow, he had his working shoes on for a lot of the match, but I always kind of think he did. ECW, his run was pretty crazy, so he's been doing it for a while. Sadly, no cartwheel in this match. I was pretty bummed. I thought he'd break it out here.
I think he was just like, anything he did looked like 700 miles per hour, because everything else everybody was doing was so slow. So I felt like if he thought he did a cartwheel, that would like, they would kick him out of the match, because it would be too advanced for everybody else.
You're probably right. My last note though is like, I don't know what happened in the end. Like, why is Bam Bam Bigelow holding his dick when he dished out the low blow to finish the match?
I don't know.
Did I miss anything about this? I don't know. I was very confused, and I thought it was 2 out of 3, but they only went 2. Well, I guess because it was a clean sweep. I guess. Yeah, but still.
Yeah, it was weird. It's a very weird match. Very strange match.
The last match of the night is Mei Suruga versus Crystal. Gatoh Move, 9/16/2019. To my calculations, that was 2 days ago, so we're very current on the mixtape this episode. So, as the resident Philippine Wrestling Revolution fan, I personally thought I'd pay respects to Crystal's first trip to Japan, and what better way to do it and celebrate it but on the mixtape. So I'm pretty unfamiliar with Gatoh Move, but I am familiar with that venue and where they shoot these matches. So for those that are not familiar, it pretty much is like someone's living room, where like part of the crowd is like right up against this mat that they wrestle on, while the other part of the crowd is like watching from where like essentially the kitchen would be, looking into the living room.
Yes.
If this was like a DLC like venue on Fire Pro, like immediate sellout, like those servers would burn to the fucking ground trying to process those payments. What is new to me, however, about Gatoh Move is that they actually have like a play-by-play guy, and he is something, and I'm sure Mike is going to talk about this guy. He's kind of calling this match like he's reading like an audio book about physiology, and like it's actually pretty great when like mashed with wrestling in someone's living room. So towards the middle of the match, Crystal, who has a height advantage, she does this thing where she tries to hit Mei in the head with 3 consecutive crescent kicks, but she can't hit her because Mei is too short, and like her foot keeps going over Mei's head. And like in the most deadpan of deliveries, this announcer's like, this is funny because Crystal can't hit her because Mei is too short. And it's like, it is a moment on the Virtual Pros mixtape. I kind of am thinking about clipping this and making this like into its own bumper. It's pretty crazy the way this announcer calls it. But anyway, there's patches in the mat that they're wrestling on, and it made me think like, are the promoters of Gatoh Move, are they taking pieces off of this mat to sell it like how, like, you know, WWE does it with WrestleMania matches? Like, if there's one match that deserves it, though, it's this one. Like, this is the 6/3/94 of apartment matches. Like, hitch that wagon on the Crystal, because I think she's going to be a star, like, soon. Mark my words. A great match, in all sincerity. I thought this was really good. What'd you think?
So yeah, I don't know if I've seen GIFs or short video clips or just pictures of this venue and this Gatoh Move. And I've been meaning to check out this apartment wrestling because, you know, it looks pretty seedy and it did not disappoint. I was wondering if this guy, I know the YouTube channel is called Gatoh Move, but anybody can name anything they want. And I was like, I don't know if this is an official announcer or somebody was like, I'm going to take the name Gatoh Move and just upload their matches and announce over them, because it doesn't sound like a guy you would hire to announce. He sounds like I'm not trying to come off as racist or anything, but you know, he sounds like an Indian man or, you know, a Pakistani man or something like that. This is obviously a Japanese promotion, so I don't know how they hook up. I don't know, maybe Gatoh Move was really looking for the closest English speaker, and that's what they could find. I don't know. It's just a very strange setup for this possibly Middle Eastern or Indian man, doing commentary for this, Japanese apartment wrestling promotion. It's just it's a weird, strange setup.
I couldn't put my finger on the accent either. I was very, confused.
Yeah, it does sound like some kind of Southeast Asian, I would assume. I don't know, but, so it's as Al stated and described it almost kind of looks like a preschool room, but smaller, like the size of a living room, like kind of these light blue mats, and they do have like the open kind of kitchen windows. And, so to the right, if you look to the right of the video, you can see a row of, I think it's like 2 rows. The bottom row, what would be considered the front row, I think on camera are 3 men. If you look in the middle guy, just watch him throughout this match. You can see his eye line never goes above ass level. This guy knows what he is there for. He is like, I'm going to see Crystal's ass and it's going to be like a foot in front of me. I don't even care what's going on. Be over like the 2.5 foot size. Like, I don't care. I don't care what's going on. I don't think his eyes ever approach even like eye level ever. It would, I mean, honestly, it would be so cool to be one of the 20 lucky perverts to be in the live audience of Gatoh Move. This is, screw Wrestle Kingdom, screw the Tokyo Dome. If I ever go to Japan, this is number one on my list, is be the goofy white man in the Gatoh Move video, whose eyes never go above ass level either. This is like on my bucket list of things to do now, is be that man in my life. I mean, just imagine the smells. Just imagine the smells that you were getting at Gatoh Move. You were that close. You're basically watching women sweat in a living room. People pay hundreds of dollars for custom videotapes of this, and you're just there live, just soaking it all in, sniffing it all in. Just think about that. That is amazing. And don't paint me as the pervert, because there is some very erotic stretching going on here. There's some split stretching going on. So Gatoh Move knows what they have going on. It's not just me. It is pretty erotic. I understand why that man's face was where it was, because I would have been right there with him, because it's something. Yeah, just finally, I completely screw no ring death matches. This is the real no ring attraction right here. After one 10-minute match, Gatoh Move is my favorite women's wrestling promotion on the face of the earth. I wanted to watch more, but my girlfriend was home, and I already felt embarrassed when she walked in the room. And I don't think she turned and looked at the TV and saw me watching two women stretching each other in a living room. And I'm really hoping she didn't see that, but I don't know. Maybe she did. But yes, when she's at work, I'm gonna probably have to watch more. But it's I'm very excited to watch more.
That was episode 96 of That World Champion Sound Virtual Pros podcast. Hit us on Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Discord, Twitch. What else do we have? That was about it.
That's it, yeah.
Cool, man. And if you want to participate, email us at virtualpros64@gmail.com. I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks. Do you want to flesh out how you want to do this, Mike? You want to take a little fall break?
I don't know.
Or do you want to record next week?
That's tough. I think we got to talk about it off air, because I'm like, half of me is like, I want to take a break, but at the same time, I'm like, we're so close to 100, and I feel like it's a real blue ball situation right there if we just take a break right before 100, but we got to see.
All right, guys. 97.
Coming soon, at some point.
Coming soon.